Okay, now the next important topic in software engineering is software planning. Okay, now I'm giving you a short video on planning. How do we plan, and what are the requirements of planning? Now, why planning is required? Because after we do SRS, we've done SRS part, software requirement specifications we have identified, and we have also identified, on this SRS we have also identified what are the requirements of the users, isn't it? And it has been projected in certain form of a documents. A document has been prepared with all the diagrams and flows required for the software to be developed. Now, before we start developing, we need to plan it, isn't it? Planning in the sense, if you talk about civil engineering, it is like a planning in the paper, isn't it? Before they go and start excavating, or before they start digging up the foundation, what they do is they do planning in the sheet of a paper, isn't it? That is what is our software planning we are talking about right now. Then, in order to have a software, a very good software, we need to have certain things which you must understand and keep these things in mind. That what is the scope of a work? Now, how far the work could go? You cannot just say I'm preparing a software, isn't it? You must have a scope of it. कहाँदेखि कहाँसम्म मैले कति चाहिँ गर्न सक्छु भन्ने software has to be identified. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Then next is risk. Risk is unforeseen problems. You don't know that problem will occur. Risk. What are the risks occur that can come in the future? That also you must have understanding about it. The resources required. Resources in terms of hardware, in terms of software, in terms of manpower, in terms of time, in terms of complexity, in terms of computation power. All that resources to चाहिए होता है ना, isn't it? So that is the third thing you must know. Then what are the tasks to be accomplished? Now I think we have done it in the previous class, where we've identified what the task to be accomplished. Your task बनाएर चाहिँ what do we do is we prepare certain planning. Then the very important thing is the cost. What is the cost of it? It has to be planned. Isn't it? The cost has to be planned. Otherwise, you cannot have a software existing in the system. Then next is your schedule. Schedule भनेको time. Time. What is the time? What is the schedule? What do I follow? Your calendar dates, भनौँ न. Calendar dates and months. Okay, that is what is there here. Okay, first one we do a size estimation, then we do a cost estimation and development time. What is the time required? Then resources required. Then project. So this is a generic view of software project planning. Then first is your size estimation. So what is size? You must know what is size of a project. Size of a project is actually considered in terms of LOC, we call it as line of codes. How many line of codes I write? Okay, so how many lines of codes I'm writing it. It's a traditional method, but then it's good and has been proven best approach in estimating a size. Now here in the example it says 18 line of code. If I ignore comments and blanks, it is 17 line of code. Okay, so this is, you can read this. You can read this. This is not very important. Next part of estimation. First estimation is your line of code. Another part of estimation is known as function counts. Function counts, it is invented by IBM. Okay, so the function counts is taken as function points analysis. Function points analysis in the following units: input, output, inquiry, internal logical files, external interface files. Now these are the 5 different functional units, right? Any system can be built of. Any system requires certain information entering into the system. They call that functional unit as one of the unit. So unit count garra pani we can uh, find the size of the project. Size of the project. We are estimating the size. Okay. So you can say this: input information, entering output information, leaving inquiries, what are the instant access to the information if I have to access the information, internal files which is within the system, external files which is in the other system but may be used by the system we are developing. यदि 4टा 5वटा functional point analysis गर्नु पर्यो. Now this is the diagram, a simple diagram. You can see this. Now function points analysis are divided into 2 categories. The data function, where data is required. All files are talking about data. User identified group of logical related data or control information maintained within the system. कतिवटा फाइल्स छ यस्तो, कतिवटा फाइल लाग्ने रहेछ, कतिवटा एक्सटर्नल फाइल्स रहेछ, त्यो काउन्ट आउँछ अहिले इट विल कम इन द नेक्स्ट. So external input कतिवटा हुने रहेछ, how many external inputs do we have, how many external outputs do we have, and how many inquiries do we have, right? So based on these 5 factors we're going to develop a measurement unit. Now you can see this is a standard developed for software engineers. Now we need to consider the weighting factors. Okay, when I am developing a software, I will have all these inputs, and I will have the weighted factors. कतिको अब external inputs चाहिँ कतिवटा छ भन्दा चाहिँ high external input छ भने चाहिँ then I'll have to use that EI as 6. Okay, so logical files छ भन्दा छैन, very low छ भने चाहिँ then I'll have to use 7. Okay, so this you will have to remember, or it will be given in the question itself whenever this kind of questions are asked. Function points. Now based on this kind of table is prepared. This kind of table is prepared for unadjusted function point count. Total यहाँ निकालिन्छ यहाँनिर. Okay, we'll have an example. Example मा छ, you can see this simple छ. External inputs कतिवटा थियो low, कतिवटा थियो average, कतिवटा थियो high, कतिवटा थियो count. Into 3, into 4, into 6. किनभने standard table मा into 3, into 4 र 5, 6 यिनीहरुको weighted factor दिन्छ. त्यो डल्लै निकाल्यो र त्यसको सम चाहिँ यहाँ लेख्यो, फाइनल फंक्शनल युनिट त्यति बन्यो. Weighted factors are identified for all the functional units and multiplied with the functional points to develop a unadjusted function point. UFP निकाल्नु पर्यो. Once UFP यही हो, method यही हो. Mathematically it is written like this. But then तिमीले गर्नु पर्दा कस्तो गर्नु पर्यो? You'll have to multiply and add. Multiply with weighted factors and add it. That's it. Now how do I calculate the function points? The function points I calculate using UFP multiplied by CAF. What is CAF? CAF is complexity adjustment factors. Now complexity adjustment factor is equal to 0.65 plus 0.01 into sum of F. Now F F is again, this is another 14 points influence factor. This is 14 points influence factor. Your influence factor पनि छ यहाँ हेर. अब does system requires reliable backup for recovery? यो चाहिन्छ कि चाहिँदैन? यसले कतिको backup, कतिको यो कतिको first point कतिको चाहिन्छ भनेर चाहिँ you will have it in the SRS itself. Designing गर्दाखेरि SRS मै बनिसकेको हुन्छ कि यो चाहिन्छ कि चाहिँदैन. Number 1, if number 1 is required in a high parameter, high factor हो 1 चाहिँ भन्यो भने यसको भ्यालु हामीले 5 लगाउनु पर्यो. All right. And for example, is the code designed to be reusable? Reusable हो code फेरि नेक्स्ट बिटा भर्जन हो नेक्स्ट इम्प्रुभाइड भर्जन निस्किन्छ यसको भन्छ निस्किँदैन चाहिँदैन चाहिँदैन भन्यो भने 11 को वेटेड फ्याक्टर सुड बी 0. सो त्यसलाई हामी के गर्छ यसलाई हामी सम अफ अल द फ्याक्टर्स निकाल्छ पहिला 14 फ्याक्टर चाहिँ कन्सिडर गर्नु पर्यो डल्लै हो देन मल्टिप्लाइड बाई 0.1 प्लस 0.65 गऱ्यो भने चाहिँ सिएएफ निस्किन्छ. न सिएएफ अघि निक्लेको UFP is equals to function points. Okay. Yes. Now function points, once it is calculated, what does it say? It says this for metrics. Productivity in terms of function points per person month. Per person month in the sense, how many persons are employed in a month. Person months. Then quality आउँछ हाम्रोमा डिफेक्ट्स निकाल्नु सक्यो भने डिवाइडेड बाई फंक्सन पोइन्ट गर्नु पर्यो. कस्ट आउँछ व्हाट इज द रुपी कस्ट इज रुपीज डिवाइडेड बाई फंक्सन पोइन्ट्स इन टर्म्स अफ फंक्सन पोइन्ट्स. एन्ड डकुमेन्टेसन पेज अफ डकुमेन्टेसन पर फंक्सन पोइन्ट्स रुपीज पर फंक्सन पोइन्ट्स डिफेक्ट्स पर फंक्सन पोइन्ट्स एन्ड प्रोडक्टिभिटी पर पर्सन मन्थ्स. Okay, this is all per. That means quality in terms of function points, cost in terms of function points, documentation in terms of function points. Suppose function points के हिसाब में निस्किन्छ. Now you have this. See, look at the example here. Small example I have considered here. The project मा चाहिँ user input यति सारे, user inquiries यति सारे, file यति सारे. Now find out the adjustment factors and weighted factors and compute the function point matrix. Now you can see this. What they have done is 50 into 4. 4 कहाँबाट आयो? Why? Because assume all the complexity are average. Average को 4 छ. 50 into 4 भयो. 40 into 5. 40 यसको थियो. त्यो number of user output को average मा के आउँछ? 5 आउँछ. So 5 into 35. 5 into 40. गरेर it is UFP is calculated. And when CAF is calculated, no? CAF मा it says weighted factors are average. Average भनेको 3 हो. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 14 times चाहिँ add गर्नु पर्यो हामीले. So it is 14 into 3 into 0.01 plus 0.65 is equals to 1.07.